team, I hope you're all well. Today we are going to be doing the Finally Fall book tag. I am so excited that it's now officially finally fall. I have been ready for autumn since like mid-August, I'm not gonna lie. I think I've had my decorations up since then, since I did the library, and I'm really excited that it's finally fall. I did get the questions for this tag from Gabby, from Gabby Reads. So this is not an original tag. I'm not sure who the original creator is, but I did get the questions from Gabby. I saw that she did this a couple of years ago or last year. So I'm really excited to do this. I haven't done a tag in a while and I know people do like them, so I'm really excited to do it. So I do have my stack of books and my Daisy and Bee notepad with all of the questions on. So the first one is, in fall the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with an avid setting. So I do have here Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This book had me feeling so isolated when I was reading it. You get really into it. It's basically set on an island and Daisy goes away with her family, who she's a little bit estranged from, for a weekend for her grandmother's birthday. Now this starts off with a death in the family. At the beginning of the story, they all get to that island. They're all very isolated, cut off from the outside world because of the tide that comes in and cuts the road off. And then someone dies within the family and it's very clear that there's someone in the house that's doing it. And as you go on, more and more people are dying. You're very confused. You're not sure what's going on, who's doing the killings, etc. And then the reveal at the end. This book had me shook, and the minute I finished it, after the reveal had happened, in fact before I'd even finished it, once the reveal had happened, I immediately wanted to go back and reread it to see if I could pick up on anything, and it was absolutely fantastic. I gave this 5 stars. It was my first Alice Feeney, but the setting of this made me feel incredibly isolated. I do like books, like isolation books, that can make me feel isolated, so I absolutely loved this one and would recommend. 10 out of 10, well 5 out of 5. I absolutely love this. I read this year and it was so good, and I am now trying to build up my collection of Alice Feeney to see if I can find anything else I absolutely love by her. I do have Good Bad Girl, which is her latest one, so I am very excited about reading that one as well, but loved this. Fantastic. Next we do have Nature is Beautiful but Also Dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. So I have 2 books here, one of which is perfect for this prompt because of the nature element to it. So that is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffith. Now this doesn't deal with loss or grief, but it does deal with climate change, which I think is a huge thing for us right now in the world, and I absolutely loved this book. I shouldn't have loved this book because of the writing. Usually lyrical or poetic or flowery writing isn't my thing, and I very much DNF books like that. Very similar for the next book I have to show you in a minute as well, but I absolutely adored this, so much so I have 2 copies. This is my plain copy, but I have 2 copies. I tabbed the shit out of this and annotated it as well. It was the first time I'd ever annotated a book, and I annotated the shit out of it. So in this book we are following Clara Densmore, who's an Everwitch, and essentially in this world witches and non-magic people are living together. The witches are helping control the climate essentially, because climate change is a huge thing in this book and it's causing a lot of chaos, and the witches are essentially tied to a season and can help out with that season. However, every now and then you will get an Everwitch who is tied to all the seasons. It's not very often it happens, but Clara is one of those, and these people are at this school and they're helping out with the weather, etc. And then something really kind of dramatic happens with the weather, and Clara is kind of pitched to be the person that essentially saves the world. I think the thing that I love the most about this book is that Clara doesn't want to be the hero. She doesn't want to save the world. She doesn't want that responsibility. She doesn't think she can do it. She's got no confidence in herself. She doesn't have full control of her magic, and she doesn't want to take that to essentially trying to save the world. And I think I love that about her a little bit, to be honest. She knows it needs to be done. She knows that someone needs to do it. She just doesn't want to have the responsibility. And it's kind of a nice change from having having someone who showboats and makes mistakes but will not own up to them. She's very much so, I don't think I can do this and I don't want this responsibility, and I love that. I love the writing, I just love everything about this book. This cover, stunning, and the detail Rachel goes to on, oh, this isn't the really pretty one, the detail Rachel goes to with all of her books, especially like Under the Dust Jacket and stuff. I'm currently reading Wild is the Witch. They're stunning, Under the Dust Jacket, etc. So really truly love this one, and it's perfect for this prompt, I think. The next one I have is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I couldn't really do this video without mentioning this book, to be perfectly honest. Again, another one where the writing is very much so like lyrical and a little bit flowery and poetic, and I should have hated that, and I did not. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I'm desperate to reread it, very similar with The Nature of Witches, and I absolutely loved it. We're following Addie in France in 1714, and in a moment of desperation she meets a stranger and makes a deal with this stranger. Now the deal that she makes is that she thinks life is too short and she doesn't have enough time on the world to do all of the things she wants to do. The deal she makes is that she becomes immortal and she cannot die. So what she doesn't realize is how lonely the world can be when everyone around you is dying and living their normal lives and, you know, passes away. And we follow her right up until like today almost, and unfortunately the deal that she made with this stranger, he put a caveat in that no one would remember her, and it's kind of devastating actually to go through that process with her. You're with her the whole time, and to have this situation where she will meet people, she'll live in a city for a period of time, she'll meet people, she will go to work, no one will remember her, she can't hold down a job, she can't hold down a place to stay because the landlord can't remember her, and it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. These people remember of 24 hours. When they go to sleep, that's it, they have no memory of her, and it's heartbreaking to go through this with her. It's devastating. It's such a beautiful book, and I absolutely love it and would recommend. Absolutely obsessed. Okay, next we have Fall is Back to School Season. Share a non-fiction that taught you something new. Again, I have a couple here. So I have one that I'm currently reading, but I've already learned so much from this book, and it is The Untold Lives of Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold even. I'm really loving this book. It's so fascinating. Currently on page 162, but this is essentially, we all know the stories of Jack the Ripper, what he did to the women that he killed, the theories into why people think they were killed, the press more than anything. Apparently they were all prostitutes and stuff. We all know those stories, but who were these women? This book delves into who these women were. It goes right up until their death, but mentions absolutely nothing about how they were killed, why they were killed, etc, etc. It's just who they were, and I think it's really fascinating to follow these women during the time that they were killed. It's 1888, and I've already learned so much about how women were treated back then, how they lived their lives, how the world was, you know, all those kinds of things. It's so fascinating, and these women's lives were so hard as well. And the two that I've already read, neither of them were prostitutes. So a very, very fascinating, really interesting read, and I'm having a very good time with it. My battery died and then Gary the ghost fell over, so I had to move him. Sorry. The second one that I do have is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. This I read years and years and years ago, and oh, it looks like I got partway through rereading it. There's a bookmark in here. And I do want to reread this one. This follows Paul Kalanithi, who was a surgeon and ended up finding out at the age of 36, on the verge of completing a decade's worth of training as a neurosurgeon, Paul Kalanithi was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. One day he's a doctor treating people, the next day he is a patient, and it's basically his story. He's written it. It's his story about having to go through that transition and how he dealt with that. Obviously, stage 4 lung cancer isn't treatable, and it is pretty much a death sentence, and it's such a heartbreaking story. I loved this. It was so fascinating. It was heartbreaking, and then to know as well, you do get told in this, you do get told that he died in March 2015 while working on this book. His wife had to finish the book off for him because he didn't manage to finish the book, and you do get towards the end, you get like her side of things as well, and it's absolutely, I've got chills just right now just thinking about it. It's so heartbreaking. I've got really bad chills. It's so heartbreaking, such a beautiful story. If you would like a non-fiction like this, I would 100% recommend this book. It was so good, very fascinating. I learned so much, especially from the side of a doctor becoming a patient as well. It must have been so difficult, because you would want to do all of your checks and everything yourself, check your chart yourself, etc, etc. Beautiful, beautiful book, would recommend. So next we have In Order to Keep Warm. It's good to spend time with people with. Name a fictional family, household or friend group you would like to be a part of. I am actually going to go off-piste here and not go with a book, but I'm actually going to go with Gilmore Girls. That group, that dynamic, the town and everything, I would love to be a part of that. I love that series. Melissa McCarthy is just perfection, and I adore her in that series. I only watched it for the first time a few years ago, and I was obsessed, immediately hooked, and I binge watched the whole thing. And I actually kind of want to go back to it, especially with it being fall now. I've been wanting to do this for a couple of years since I watched it for the first time, but I know what I'm like and I get nothing else done, and I have to, sometimes I need to get better at time management with this, because I will literally just sit there and binge watch the whole thing, knowing full well I've got work to do, books to read, bookmarks to pack, taxes to sort out, etc, etc. I will just sit there and watch the whole thing and avoid all of my responsibilities. It's the reason why I haven't rewatched Supernatural or Sons of Anarchy or Gilmore Girls or One Tree Hill. It's the reason why I haven't rewatched any of them. One Tree Hill's another one, actually, that's a good one. But Gilmore Girls, I reckon. I just love everything about it. The small town, the cozy vibes, just perfection. Chef's kiss. I love it. So next we have The Colourful Leaves Are Piling Up on the Ground. Show us a pile of fall coloured spines. So I do have a selection here, some of which I've read, some of which I have not yet read. So we've got The Haunting of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. This is a story, it's a trilogy actually about Evelyn Jones. Is this the first one? No. Yes, I think it is. In this one, she is haunted by a ghost, and it's fascinating. There is also The Bewitching of Evelyn Jones and I can't remember what the third one is called, but it's a very good series and I would recommend, middle grade. Then we do have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I love this book and I'm so excited for Bookshops and Bone Dust to come out. This one is a good old high fantasy, low stakes, good company. It is a cozy fantasy about Viv, who is a barbarian. She wants to hang up her sword, she wants to settle down, and she wants to open up a coffee shop in a world where no one's heard of coffee before. So it's really adorable and I love it. It's so good. This is another one that I would love to reread right now, to be honest. It's perfect for this time of year. Then we have The Bellwoods Game by Celia Crampion. I have recently read this one for a vlog that's coming out early October. This is a middle grade as well. It is about in this town there is a legend about this girl called Abigail Snook, who went missing several years prior. The kids in town basically have this thing where every almost Halloween they have to go and trek through the forest and ring the bell in order to avoid Abigail Snook causing any chaos throughout town for the rest of the year. And it all turns out that maybe it's not as fake as people make out it is. So it's very good, very atmospheric, would recommend. Then we have 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson. I haven't read this one yet. This is the 5th book in the Truly Devious series, in which we follow Stevie Bell, who in the first one she goes to Ellingham Academy and she ends up solving a murder. It's a murder mystery and it's very good. And then finally we've got Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. Again, I haven't read this one yet, but I did read Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister earlier on this year. Absolutely loved it and then wanted to get her new one. So this one is about a missing girl, 22-year-old Olivia, no history of running away, last seen on CCTV entering a dead end alley, and not coming back out again, missing for 1 day and counting. Gillian McAllister's very good at these stories where you know it's over a period of time. It's fantastic. I don't know if it's fantastic. I'm guessing it's going to be fantastic. Wrong Place, Wrong Time was 5 out of 5 stars for me. One of my favourite books of the year. I'm really excited about picking this one up. So that is my autumn stack. Then we do have fall is the perfect time for telling a story by the fireside. Share a book where someone is telling a story. So I have an entire series here. We have the Athena Club series, starting off with The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss, going on to European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewomen, and then the last one, which I haven't yet read but I'm hoping to do so for Final Book Support Group in November, The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl. So this series does follow essentially the daughters of monstrous men throughout literature over the years, and we start off by following Mary Jekyll. We also have Diana Hyde, Beatrice Rappaccini, Catherine Moreau and Justine Frankenstein. You may recognise some of those names. And essentially we follow them in their quest to try and find other women like them. And it's absolutely fascinating. I really love this because one of the girls is writing this story. So it's done in such a way that they're telling the story, and then every now and then the other girls will jump in and be like, it didn't go down like that, or why were you picking on me in that moment? I don't understand what happened, blah blah blah. It's really, really good. The audiobooks are fantastic, and I had a great, so far I'm having a great time with this series, and I would recommend. That second book is absolutely massive, but I would recommend. I'm really, really excited about wrapping the series up with this one. Next we have The Nights Are Getting Darker, so share a creepy dark read. So I do have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I read this one earlier on this year, really enjoyed this. This creeped me out to no end. There are creepy dolls in here, like porcelain dolls, and it really freaked me out. We are following Louise and her brother Mark. She's found out that her parents have died. She's got a daughter. She's found out her parents have died and she's absolutely heartbroken. Her brother, they're estranged, and they have to go to their parents' house to try and clear it all out and make a decision whether or not to sell it or whether to keep it. And strange goings on start happening in the house with these creepy dolls, and it freaked me out, really freaked me out. It had me really, really wanting to cut. If this was a movie, I'd be covering my eyes for the most part, I'm not gonna lie. It really freaked me out. Very, very creepy indeed. And then I did also pick, because I wanted to mention this one as well, I did also pick Clan in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar. This one is a YA slasher about clowns and cornfields. Quinn Maybrook just wants to make graduation. She may not make it to morning. There are clowns stalking these people in this cornfield, and it is so creepy. It's hilarious, like very camp, very YA slasher campy vibes, but I loved this. I shouldn't have, because I hate clowns, and this is why I found this creepy. It depends on what you find creepy, I think. What you define as creepy. I define dolls and clowns as creepy, spiders also, but dolls and clowns for the most part. Also children in horror, hate it, not a fan, stop doing it. Freaks me out. But yeah, this one definitely had the atmosphere. It was very creepy. It was great. I had a fantastic time with this, and I'm constantly trying to find more stuff like this. So if you've got any recommendations for me, campy, YA, slasher, creepy, just atmospheric, please give me the recommendations, because I need more. It was great. Then we've got The Days Are Getting Colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. So I do have A Psalm for the Wild Bill by Becky Chambers. This is the first in the Monk and Robot series. There are 2 in the series. This was so adorable. We are following a monk who has decided that they want to go out on their own, travel the world for a little bit and see what's going on. And one day they come across this robot who, because there are robots and stuff in this world as well, who essentially has kind of lost their way in life, and it's very much a slice of life of these two coming together, sharing their stories, and then going on their merry way and building their own stories together. And it's absolutely adorable. The monk is a tea monk. I don't know if you need to get any cozier than a tea monk and a robot, slice of life, going on their merry way. It's just adorable, and I loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. I wasn't anticipating loving this, but Maddie had me read it, and it was so good. Again, another book that I annotated and slightly tabbed up as well. fantastic. And then another one, I don't know if this counts as being short or not, but the original is just over 300 pages. Again, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is the coziest, is it the coziest thing I've ever read? Potentially. Sign for the Wild Built was pretty cozy, I'm not gonna lie, but Legends and Lattes, super freaking cozy, will warm you right to your bones. Perfect, 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 perfect. Also, this is a vibe, not gonna lie, do it. I would recommend. Then we have Fall Returns Every Year. Name a favourite that you would like to reread. I would love, I've already mentioned that I would love to reread The Nature of Witches, When Breath Becomes Air, Addie LaRue, Legends and Lattes. But for this one specifically, I would love to reread The Wicker King by Kate Ancrum. This blew my mind. I don't know how to explain how I felt about this book. It blew me away. I was confused for about 95% of this book. But it was so good. I don't even know how to fully explain what happens in this book properly. Following two boys, August and Jack, have never lived in the same world. They both have very overactive imaginations, let's say. I feel like reading the synopsis is the best way to tell you about this book because I could spoil it and I don't want to do that. So August is a misfit with a pyro streak and Jack is a golden boy on the varsity rugby team. But their intense friendship goes way back. It's something they keep for themselves and they rely on each other for survival. When Jack begins to see increasingly vivid hallucinations, August decides to help Jack the only way he knows how, by believing him, and believing in the fantasy kingdom that creeps into the edges of the real world. Jack leads August on a quest to fulfill a dark prophecy, and together they alienate everyone around them as they struggle with their sanity, free-falling into a surreal fantasy world that feels made for them. In the end, each one must choose his own truth. Written with vivid intensity, The Wicker King explores a relationship fraught with tension, madness and love. This was such a fantastic book and I absolutely loved it. It's got very short chapters, like page long. Some of the pages aren't even filled properly. And as you get through the book as well, you will notice that the pages get darker. It's as Jack descends more into madness and the pages get darker and darker as you go on, and it's so good and I'm dying to reread this. I might, if I have time towards the end of the year, I might try and do like a rereading some of my favorites video. I know that I did a reel with some that I would love to reread at the beginning of this year, so maybe I might try and turn that into a vlog at some point. We will see. Let me know if you're interested in that. But yeah, I'd love to reread that book. And then last but by no means least, we have Fall is the Perfect Time for Cozy Reading Nights. Share your favourite cozy reading accessories. So for this one, I am sat in my favourite cozy reading accessory. It is my reading chair. This is the Strandman chair from IKEA. Why I wanted to say Iceland then, I will never know. From IKEA. I also have the footstool as well. The books are currently resting on it. I love sitting in here. It's so comfortable and I'm obsessed with it. I will always have a cushion on my reading chair and a blanket on my knee. I currently have Gary the Ghost sat up here as well. He usually sits here, but I'm sitting here right now, so he needs to go up there. What else do I love having for a cozy reading evening? Oh, a candle. I love to light a candle. This is one that's been made for me by Becca from Becca and the Books. This is lime, orange, cherry, strawberry and vanilla, which is actually the scent for the Oasis. But she knows that I love this scent. She made me one with my branding on. Oh, I wish I could get you to smell this through the camera. It's just so good. I obviously haven't burned this one. It's my favourite scent and I don't want to use it. Becca keeps shouting at me. She's like, I can make you another. But I don't know. I just have this thing about using candles. I also quite like to have a fruit tea. This does not have tea in it, but you know, for aesthetics, let's show you a mug. I like to have a fruit tea. Usually strawberry and mango is my favourite, but I also like strawberry and raspberry. So a nice fruit tea as well to go with my reading evening. A nice cozy book, some fairy lights. I don't know if you can see, but I do have my fairy lights on here. I like to have those on as well. It just sets the tone, sets the vibe. I like to close the blinds. Even if it's still light outside, close the blinds, flick a lamp on, flick my fairy lights on. Perfection. And then some cake. Or biscuits. Something sweet as well to go along with it. And I think that is pretty much my cozy vibe. Fluffy socks. Always fluffy socks and comfort. Whether that be leggings and a sweater, which is currently what I'm wearing right now, or my hoodie, or an hoodie tee if it's a little bit warmer. That's pretty much it, I think. That is my vibe. And if I'm not in this chair, I'm in bed reading. That is my vibe. That is pretty much it. ASMR room. I forgot about that. ASMR room. So like it depends on what I'm reading. If I'm reading a horror, I really want a spooky ASMR room on. If I'm reading something cozy like Stand for the Wild Bill or Legends and Lattes, I want like a fireplace one, like a cozy ambience room. That's what I want on. So that is pretty much my vibe. I know that's the last thing. That is my vibe. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this fall tag. I don't know how long this is actually going to be because I'm currently at 20 minutes and we already did a clip before this. But yeah, that is it for the Finally Fall book tag. Chat to me in the comments down below. Have you got any recommendations for me based off of these questions, especially something like Clown in a Cornfield? I need more of that in my life. I had a fantastic time reading those last year. So yeah, chat to me in the comments down below. I hope you have enjoyed this video and I shall see you very soon. Bye for now.